Welcome to part 2 of biaxial minerals. Here we're going to discuss about the optic sign determination. In today's lecture, we're going to see the optic sign principle based on the indicators which we already discussed in the part 1 of the video. Formation of isogears, relationship of 2V angle with curvature of isogear, primary section in principle in biaxial minerals, optic sign determination from acute bisectrix figure and optic axis figure. We also will discuss other sections so you get a brief idea about how to determine the optic sign. But in our previous video, we have seen how we are going to distinguish biaxial positive one mineral. So that's very simple, where we can see that if you have the acute bisectrix, and if x-axis is actually bisecting the acute bisectrix, it's going to be optically negative, and if it's going to be z-axis bisecting the acute bisectrix, it's going to be optically positive. We also have seen how this is going to be different from the uniaxial interference figure we have seen, where we have seen that the uniaxial figure has got the cross. In the case of a centered optic axis figure, that stays as the isogear as a cross, even though when you rotate the stage. But in the case of biaxial, it actually splits and form a hyperbola, which is the major difference between a centered optic axis figure versus an acute bisectrix figure. We also have seen in this how to identify the optic sign of a uniaxial mineral, where we have seen if we are going to insert a gypsum plate, okay, where the slow vibration directions are going to be mentioned, where you can see that if you can identify there's going to be addition happening in the northeast and southwest quadrant. You can see that it's going to be increasing color because slow ray of the gypsum plate or mica plate is going to be matching with the E vibration direction. That is why you can see that the epsilon is the slow vibration direction over there, and that is why that is going to be uniaxial positive. So the vibration directions over here in uniaxial was fixed, unlike in the case of biaxial mineral. In the case of biaxial, we can see that this is a uniaxial, it stays like that. Biaxial is going to be like this. It's a optic axis figure. And when you split it, you can see this is actually going to give you something like a acute bisectrix figure where two hyperbolas are there. And this line, what we also have actually seen in the previous video, this is one of the melatope and this is the second melatope. Connecting these two melatopes, you draw a line. That line is nothing but that is going to be the optic axial plane. So to determine the optic sign, what you need to do is that you have to make this optic axial plane ideally northeast southwest direction, or if you're actually keeping the northwest southeast, your inferences will be reversed depending upon what we are going to discuss in the coming slides. Look at this. This is what we have just seen. This is the pattern of 8 of isochrones, unlike the circular isochrones in the centered optic axis figure. When you rotate it, you can see that the hyperbola is actually oriented in the northeast and southwest direction, giving the pattern of 8 isochrones. And if you connect this and drawing a line, this is going to be the optic axial plane. And if you draw a perpendicular to that, you can see that that is the one that actually represents the optic normal. So the red line is going to be representing the optic normal. We will see how the isochrones form. In the previous discussion on uniaxial interference figure, we have seen that isochrones, or to form the interference figure, we need to do some minor adjustment in the microscope, especially the cornoscopic study, where we can see that the cornoscopic adjustment is being made. You will be getting a cone of light going to be traveling equal distance through the mineral thin section. So over here, when you look closely, you can see there is going to be one particular band of light that is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. All of them traveled equal distance through that, and that is the one that is going to give you a 600 nanometer retardation marked by a single color, indicating that that particular area has given equal retardation. The same way, close to the melatope, you are getting something around 300 nanometer retardation, giving a different color. And away from that, away from 600 nanometer, you can see that a 900 nanometer line that is indicating another, higher retardation of 900 nanometer. So all those isochrones are the one that is indicating that that area has undergone equal retardation, and the isochrone's color is a reflection of that area is giving equal retardation. And because of the influence of two melatopes over here, those isochrones, unlike the centered optic axis figure in uniaxial mineral, giving a pattern of age, and that is very unique in biaxial mineral. Have a better look at this, where you can see that these are the two circular sections that you can see, 1 and 2. Perpendicular to that is the optic axis. Okay, you also can see that in this you can see that the acute axis is actually bisecting the z axis. So you can see the 2v z, that's going to be positive. In this, the acute bisectrix is actually bisecting the x axis, that is why it is negative. So this is the principle we have actually seen. Now, if I am asking you to actually identify what is a section that is given at the right side of it, you can say that there is going to be either a section which is cut like this, that is a section like this, where you can see that both the optic axis is going to be there, okay, and that is called as an acute bisectrix figure. Or we can say that a section can be like this also. I don't know whether it is positive or negative, but this section, these two sections would look like this way in thin section, indicating both the melatopes and hyperbola, indicating the isogear are actually oriented. And this line is the one which actually represents the optic axial plane. Okay, and I need to know now what is the optic sign of this particular section that is given to you. So for that, you need to understand what is going to be our final objective. So we have already seen that if this particular acute bisectrix is going to be bisected by z, it's going to be positive. If it's bisected by x, it's going to be negative. You need to know then what is BXA or what is BXO. So for that, we will see the next diagram to make it better. Have a look at this. This is what we have seen in the case of uniaxial one. When we inserted the gypsum plate, we have got addition, or the blue color is actually coming in the northeast and southwest quadrant, and there's going to be yellow in the northwest and southeast, indicating that this is going to be the vibration direction of slow ray. Okay, because slow is matching with the gypsum plate vibration direction of slow ray, there is going to be addition. So you can say straight away that n epsilon is the slope, that is why it is positive. In this, when you actually see, you can see the color changes are going to be different compared to the hyperbola, concave and convex side. Okay, so based on that, you have to make the inferences, but still here you can see that inside this you are having addition, and between the two hyperbola or isogaze, you are getting the subtraction in the color, or lower order colors can be seen, but they have named it positive. We will see how they have actually found whether it is positive or negative. Have a look at this. This I have told that in the previous diagram also. We can see that, remember this, when you have such a section, what you need to do, you have to orient that section in this particular orientation to show that what is the optic axial plane orientation. So over here, the optic axial plane can be easily traced. That is going to be in the northeast and southwest quadrant. Okay, so what you need to know now, or the principle is that between the isogear or between the hyperbola, what you get parallel to the optic axial plane is nothing but BXO. BXO means what is going to be at BXO. If it's going to be BXO, obtuse angle is bisecting a slow ray or fast ray. Based on that, you will be able to comment whether it is going to be positive or negative. So whatever we have done so far, have a look at this. You have got 2V or two optic axes are here, which is being traced to give you the optic axial plane, that is this one. In this, between this, you can see that this is indicating BXO vibration direction, and perpendicular to that is the optic normal or N beta. But if this BXO is going to be N alpha, that is going to be positive, and BXO is going to be N gamma, it's going to be negative. Okay, so that is the principle that we are actually going to see to understand this concept. Before that, we will see what are the primary types of biaxial interference figure that you can actually get. There are 4 primary sections possible. One is acute bisectrix figure, second one is optic axis figure, third is obtuse bisectrix figure, and optic normal figure. Have a look at this. This is a section like this. So you can see that this is the 2 optic axis emergence, in which this is the acute angle. What you see over here is the acute, and what you see over here is the obtuse. Okay, this is the obtuse angle. Okay, so you can see the A section is going to be the acute bisectrix, B section is going to be the obtuse bisectrix, and you can see a section which is going to be green in color, parallel to the optic axial plane, that is called as the optic normal section. Okay, and you can see that a section which is caught perpendicular to one of the optic axis, that is like C, that is called as the optic axis figure. I'll make it better here in the next diagram. So you can see over here multiple sections are there. Imagine this is the N beta, and this is N alpha, and this is N gamma. Okay, so you can see that this sections in this is going to be called as the acute bisectrix figure, and this is called as the obtuse bisectrix figure, and the section perpendicular to this optic axial plane is called as the optic normal figure. Okay, let's come back to the next part of it, where we will see how to determine the angle formed by 2 optic axes. So there are 2 methods to do that. One is by looking at the nature of the curvature. So in the cut perpendicular to the optic axis 2B, it is determined according to the curvature of the isosphere as shown in the diagram. So if the curvature is going to be a straight line kind of thing, it's more or less close to 90, and if it's going to be more curved, based on that you will be able to say whether it's going to be a shorter 2B or the 2B angle is going to be very high. The second way is that you have to calculate according to the distance between the isogates. So when you trace this optic axial plane over here, when you trace the optic axial plane over here, you need to count what is the distance between this particular thing. Okay, and based on that distance, there is a standard way of calculating what is going to be the 2B angle. So you also will be able to identify the 2B angle approximately based on curvature or by this calculation based on the distance. So 2B angle can be measured. Look at this. So over here, what they have actually told is that if you have a acute bisectrix section, and if there is going to be decrease in color between the isogear, that particular mineral is going to be uniaxial positive, and there's going to be increase, that's going to be negative. So we will see how to identify that. So to identify the optic sign, we can see that biaxial mineral, we need to determine whether X or Z axis is the BXA, and from that the corresponding optic sign can be identified. We'll look at the various biaxial interference figures, beginning with the acute bisectrix figure. Look at this. This is the acute bisectrix figure. In a centered acute bisectrix figure, 2 rays of light propagate along the acute bisectrix and emerge in center of the figure. So you can see that these are the melatop and this is the optic axial plane. At the extinction, the 2 rays vibrate parallel to the polarizer and analyzer. So you can see in beta is going to be parallel to the one of the polarizer analyzer, and this is going to be parallel to the other one. One ray vibrates parallel to the optic normal, has an index n beta, and the other ray vibrates parallel to the obtuse bisectrix and has index BXO. This ray vibration direction is also parallel to the optic axial plane, that contain the melatopes. So these two are the melatopes. You need to understand this concept very clearly, where for optically positive mineral, BXO is the x-axis and BXO is going to be N alpha. N alpha is the one that is having the smallest refractive index, and that ray is the fast ray. Okay, N alpha, and the corresponds to the fast ray. For optically negative mineral, BXO is the z-axis and BXO is going to be N gamma and corresponds to the slow ray. So you need to determine whether the ray vibrating parallel to the obtuse bisectrix is the fast ray or slow ray. So what do you need to do? The first steps is that to obtain the acute bisectrix interference figure. Once you got that, rotate the stage so that the trace of the optic axial plane is oriented in the northeast and southwest. We have already seen in the previous slides. The isogate split and move into the northeast and southwest. If 2V is small, the isogate stays in the field of view. If the 2V is large, it moves out of field of view. Insert the accessory plate with slow ray vibration direction oriented in the northeast and southwest. Observe the color change or the movement of direction of isochrome, because if you're going to use the quartz switch, you are supposed to look at the movement. You will see in the coming slides. So based on that, you'll be able to make an inference whether it's going to be positive or negative. Interpretation. If the interference color between the melatopes, we have seen those two hyperbolas, between that, if it is going to be decreasing, the ray vibrating parallel to BXO, we have already told whatever ray which is going to be parallel to the optic axial plane when you are oriented those hyperbolas in the northeast and southwest quadrants is going to be BXO. If there is going to be a decrease, the ray vibrating parallel to BXO must be the fast ray. So BXO is going to be X. So automatically you can say that the BXA is going to be Z. Both cases the mineral is positive. If the interference color is between the melatope increases, the ray vibrating parallel to BXO must be slow, and BXO is equal to Z, and the BXA is going to be X. So the mineral is going to be negative. If the optic axial plane is placed northwest southeast, this is a very important point. It is going to be oriented the other way, northeast, northwest, and southeast. The areas of addition and subtraction observed for the interference colors will be reversed. Please keep it in mind. So look at this. This is what we actually told. Determine the optic sign for an optically positive mineral BXA. Okay, is z-axis, BXO is the x-axis. So you can see if there's going to be a decrease happening over here, BXO is going to be N alpha and BXA is going to be N gamma. And based on that, you'll be able to make a conclusion. So in the other way, we can see that BXO is going to be N gamma and must be the slow ray, and BXA is going to be N alpha. How do we determine whether the ray which vibrates parallel to the optic axial plane is in the biaxial interference figure and has an index of refraction BXO in the fast or slow ray? It's very easy. You need to check the slow vibration direction of the accessory plates, and also you need to look at the color changes, and you know that N alpha is the fast ray and gamma is the slow ray. Based on that, you can see if slow mates with slow, there's going to be addition happens. Slow mates with fast, there's going to be lower order colors will come, and that's how you actually determine that. So if you are using a gypsum plate, remember this is the way you are supposed to orient it. When you insert the gypsum plate, this is the slow ray vibration direction of the gypsum plate, and you can see that if there is going to be decrease happening, you can say that BXO is characterized by the fast ray. Fast ray is nothing but N alpha. So we can see that BXO is going to be N alpha. That is why it's going to be positive. And there is going to be addition happen. BXO is going to be N gamma, or that's going to be the slow ray. That slow mates with slow. That is why there's going to be blue comes over here and yellow is in the outside of the hyperbola. Okay, that's going to be negative. If you're using a quartz switch, you have to be slightly careful. But you can see that if you are inserting the quartz switch is a wedge-shaped one with varying interference, varying retardation. So what you will notice is that in the case of BXO is equal to N alpha, because of the colors move in along the trace of the optic axial plane, okay, and it actually moves out along the optic normal, that is the indication that this is optically positive. If it's going to be NBXO, is going to be N gamma, but you will see that the colors move out along the trace of the optic axial plane, and it's going to be moving from the optic normal. So optic normal is the N beta. From that, the colors will come and actually move out from optic axial plane emergence. Okay, so that is the way you need to distinguish optically positive biaxial, optically negative biaxial when you use a quartz wedge. Which accessory plate you need to use? If the interference figure displays few to no isochrones, use gypsum plate. Look for increase or decrease in the colors by around 550 nanometer. We even have discussed this in the case of the uniaxial mineral also. If there were numerous isochrones, use a quartz wedge, then it's going to be easy for you to actually check which order the movement or addition happens. Okay, because quartz wedge you are looking at mainly the movement, and based on that you will be able to see whether it is going to be positive or negative. Obtuse bisectrix figure. So this is the second section we actually see. The obtuse bisectrix figure, BXO figure, can be interpreted the same way as the BXA figure, except that the trace of OAP has the index of refraction equal to BXA rather than BXO. So if the ray vibrating to the optic plane, the fast ray, then BXA is going to be x-axis, so it's going to be negative. The ray vibrating parallel to the optic plane is the slow ray, the BXA is going to be z-axis, and the mineral is going to be positive. Optic plane lies in the quadrants of field of view, into which the isogears move and leave the field of view on rotation. If 2V is large, it is difficult to distinguish BXA from BXO. Sign determination is impractical, and new grain should be selected. Obtuse bisectrix figure, this is how we need to actually look at what we have seen in the previous slide, and it is not a very good section to determine the optic sign of a biaxial mineral. This is another best section to identify the optic sign of a biaxial mineral, that is called as a centered optic axis figure. We can trace the optic axial plane because this is going to be one of the melatop, there is going to be another melatop over here. Even if this is out, you need to look at the curvature and what happens in the concave side and convex side. Based on that, you will be able to make the prediction. So same as the acute bisectrix figure, the convex side of it is the BXO. So if there's going to be decrease happening, that is going to be positive. If it's going to be addition happening, that is going to be negative. Based on that, you will be able to see from a centered optic axis figure whether that particular biaxial mineral is positive or negative. This is what we just seen the centered optic axis figure. If it's going to be yellow here and blue there, that's going to be positive. Blue and yellow, it's going to be negative. We also have seen from the 2V curvature how to identify the 2V angle. Look at this, the centered optic axis figure. You are actually taking the lower side of it. You can see there's going to be decrease happens, positive, addition happen, that is going to be negative. And these two are the observation that is happening in the BXO side of it. Optic axis figure, that is the next one, where you can see that if 2V is 90, degree of curvature cannot be determined. The isogear appears as a straight line parallel to the crosshair when the grain is at extinction. It may be confused with the off-centered uniaxial optic axis figure. However, when the stage rotated, the biaxial figure will also rotate while the uniaxial figure will move parallel to the crosshairs. The 2V is equal to 90 degree. The mineral is optically neutral, that we have already seen in the earlier slides, and the sign is neither positive nor negative. In the case of flash figure, there is a fourth one. It's not useful for determining the optic sign because the 2V cannot be determined and it cannot be distinguished from the uniaxial flash figure. You can see that it is going to be a section parallel to the optic axial plane, or this perpendicular to this is going to be the optic normal. So you can see that this section, when you rotate it, okay, it suddenly disappears, and you can see that in one particular orientation, it will be at extinction. With slight rotation, the entire things will actually move out. And this flash figure is not or optic normal figure is not a good section to study the optic sign of a biaxial mineral. Which grains are suitable to produce interference figures? As with uniaxial minerals, optic axis figures are the easiest to identify because of their low interference colors due to the optic axis being vertical. If the birefringence of the mineral is low, grains with optic axis vertical will remain extinct with rotation of the stage. Optic axis figures are used for most routine work because this orientation produce interference figures where the optic sign and 2B can be determined. Which means you can see in the case of optic normal figures or flash figure, have a Y indicatrix vertical and X and Z horizontal. Birefringence in this orientation is the maximum. We have seen the similar case in the uniaxial also. And this orientation displays the highest interference color for the mineral, not useful for the 2B sign determination. Thank you.